At this conference, we heard the voice of Obafemi Awolowo speaking through Professor Banji Akintoye, saying Yoruba will work with the Igbo. Now we hear the son of the chief negotiator for the government of Biafra, as led by Colonel Ojukwu, on how the Igbos will work with the Yoruba. Timothy C. Modu Jr.
Let me start by introducing myself in the context of this conference. First, I want to say I am an arrow stock. And to be precise, I'm from Arundizog town, presently in Imo State, southeast Nigeria, the same town as late great Mazen Bono Jike, the boycott king and the first deputy mayor of Lagos State, of Lagos in 1951. Bono, who is a relative of mine on my wife's side, Azoka, is a true African statesman, an iconic political figure of his time. He was also a writer, activist, economist, politician, and a wise counselor. And don't take my word for it. Read My Africa by Mbono Jike, published in 1954, 2 years before he died at the age of 44 in 1956. And you get the sense of the uniqueness of this cultural, economic, and political icon. Also, from Arundizog is late Dr. K. Mbadiwe, who was also another great national political figure. And the useful background, backdrop to my insight for what I'm about to contribute here is taken from the perspective from my father's unpublished archive and useful communication with the powers to be inside Biafra. My late father, Mazi T.C. Modu, to put it mildly, was a significant order in the external facing side of Biafra between 1967 to 1970. In his official capacity as the chief negotiator for the government of Biafra, he worked closely and intimately with General Philip F. Young, Ojukwu's number 2, General Ojukwu himself, and others like Colonel Banadu Dogu, the Director of Intelligence, Biafra Defense Headquarters, and many other key players in the Defense Headquarters and the Biafran Civilian Administration over the 30 months of the Biafran existence. Like many from the southeast region of Nigeria, who stood firm against injustice, against ruthlessness, and the genocidal killings of their own kin at the time, most of them came forward and patriotically served in whatever role and capacity they were called upon to do in order to defend the rights of their own people, the lives and the property. Many of them, children, women, and men, paid the ultimate price of death, and in some instances, cruelty, in their millions, in a contrived so-called war, for just daring to be free from a Nigeria that no longer served and protected its citizens. May all those innocent lost souls in that era and now continue to rest in perfect peace. So please permit me to say this. Anyone who attempts to write or speak in a brief compass on a theme of this nature, Igbo-Yoruba partnership, is immediately confronted by a number of difficulties and pitfalls. The most obvious is the danger of abstraction. By that I mean displaying only essential information with little opportunity to present a full background and comprehensive detail of the subject matter under discussion, especially if trying to stand from where I'm sitting, first as a child during the Biafran War, with some vivid nightmare memories of that time, and second, as someone whose father, as I've already summarized, worked closely enough with the top leaders of the Biafran government. It therefore raises another kind of question in my mind, which is, can one meaningfully reduce the almost infinite variety of responses in a society as culturally and politically diverse as Igbo or Yoruba nation to a shorthand that bears a meaningful relationship in reality, especially when these nations have been shaped by some super political and cultural factors in recent times? I guess for me, I have to accept, alongside my fellow Igbos, that these kind of conversations must start somewhere at all levels with all the seriousness and attention that the subject matter deserves, not least because of the existential threat the situation in Nigeria poses to all of us, especially those of us who are people of the southern Nigeria. I give thanks to the bravery of some individuals who took personal risks to break the silence of speaking up about the genocide experience of the Igbos in 1967 to 70, an increasing number of people are now coming forward by the day to share the experience of the war, which until recently was a taboo to speak about it in Nigeria for fear of persecution. Thanks also to the information age generation, technology advancement, and access to high-level documents relating to the war and the actors locally and internationally. There is now an increasing number of us across Nigeria and in diaspora who have read most of our forefathers' books and people before them, researched and studied numerous materials, watched authentic videos and documentaries about a crisis in Nigeria over the last 60 years. We have amassed sufficient information on the subject of Nigeria and its colonial past. Most importantly, the history of the people who lived in that land space called Nigeria. We have also come to learn the true history and the culture of the old kingdoms in Nigeria, who were the indigenous peoples of those kingdoms, the history of some of the early expeditions of foreigners to that land. We have learned also the agenda of those foreigners who came to our land, all it being in the name of religion, faith, education, or so-called civilization. So I believe that if we all work together, as many speakers before me have said, with a new understanding of the past and the present, we should be able to forge a better future that will be resilient enough to change the course of direction of the Yoruba and Igbo nations with our true friends and families. But first, we must move away from a predatory thinking mindset and address the issue and the question of trust. How can we improve the level of trust between Igbo and Yoruba? How can we intelligently de-risk or at least reduce the fatal consequences of flagrant breaches of trust in the past between these two great nations? How do we checkmate the opportunists, the spoilers, the invisible hands of today, tomorrow, and the years to come? using our numbers and our global footprint in many global systems, trade, professions, how do we safely lead, showcase, and mainstream this newfound way of cooperation with one voice in promoting a diverse culture, economic, politics for mutual benefit of all, including the Black race globally? These are just few of the questions on trust that come to mind that needs to be addressed. But for me, there is a solution. There is hope. There is a way to deal with trust. I'll leave you, tell you a story about how the subject of dealing with trust was dealt with in a very high complex situation, which I believe can be applied very easily here. This is the story behind the phrase trust but verify. Trust but verify is an old Russian proverb which came to global prominence when Susan Mayes, an American scholar, met with President Ronald Reagan many times between 1984 and 1987 and taught him this Russian proverb and advised him that Russians like to talk in proverbs. She said to him, "It will be nice of you to know a few of these proverbs. You are an actor. You can learn them quickly." The proverb was adopted as a signature phrase by President Reagan, who used it frequently when discussing US relations with the Soviet Union, especially in the context of nuclear disarmament. After Reagan used the phrase to emphasize the extensive verification procedures that will be enabled by both sides to monitor compliance with the treaty at the signing of the INF Treaty on the 8th of December 1987, his counterpart, General Secretary Mikhail Gorbachev, responded, "You repeat that phrase every time we come to meeting." To this, Reagan answered, "Because I like it." While Reagan quoted the Russian proverb, Gorbachev quoted Ralph Waldo Emerson, an American philosopher who had also been, who said that the reward of a thing well done is to have it done. So there you have it, Igbo and Yoruba. I am sure we, the Igbos, can easily relate and adopt such concepts, since we also claim that, just like the Russians, that our language is endowed with idioms and proverbs. I think the same saying goes to Yoruba friends too. So where there is a will, there is a way. So can the Igbos trust the Yorubas? Yes, of course we can, but trust must be verified. Thank you, guys.